You're at that Halloween party and you're living it up. You're getting hammered, party next door, and then whatever other degenerate artist y'all be listening to. Drake, y'all are listening to Drake, and then all of a sudden the girl that you were hitting on is taking you to the bathroom. Something tells you not to do it, but honestly, you're kind of horny, so you do it anyway. When you guys are done, you go to the car for a quick smoke break. You realize you hate your life. You start feeling existential as you stare at the full moon and just take in the sound of the crickets and just think of your life and just think about the trajectory that you're going on. Even though you're having all this fun and all this pleasure and all this gratification, it means nothing and you're not enjoying it. Because you've now distanced yourself from this party, you're now feeling all the negative, intrusive thoughts start rushing back in. You start feeling a bit depressed, anxious, overwhelmed. It's starting to make you actually pretty angry with how overwhelmed you are all of a sudden with thoughts, many of which are just irrelevant and just nasty and you don't want them. But yes, yet they plague your life and you constantly think about them and they're just taking over your headspace. You wake up the next morning tired, full of brain fog, can't think clearly. Go to work, but you're not present. You're in your head for your entire shift. Go home and you play video games and it's kind of fun. You're with the boys, but then you go back to those feelings again. And it's even worse, and you're even more depressed than last night. Those same feelings and thoughts that you thought you've buried, but they're still there and they're still haunting you. The responsibilities, the intrusive thoughts of you violently beating your ex's boyfriend to death. Violently, viciously hurting somebody. You daydream about these imaginary scenarios to cope with the fact that your life sucks and it's not where you want it to be. But instead of taking action, instead of learning and figuring out what steps to take, you take the easy way out and you fall into a cycle of pleasure and distraction, and it's ruining your mental health. I've just described to you a scenario that I've lived through myself, not perfectly, not it's minus a bit of exaggeration for the dramatic effect, but otherwise that's real. That's very real. I do this with a lot of my videos, but at the end of the day, I am talking about the real hell and the real heaven, but that every living soul is going to be sorted into one day. But I'm also talking about the hell on earth that you experience and the heaven on earth that you can also experience. You can either live this vibrant spiritual life, or you can live this really dark and gloomy, just terrible life, miserable life, in your head, depressed, anxious, addicted, eating disorder, all these disorders. But you don't have to live that way. There's a way out, and your life can get a whole lot brighter. The sun is shining right now, and I was taking it in the whole drive, and I'm just like, man, life is so much more beautiful now. What happened to my younger self? My younger self, when I was partying in sin and gratifying myself and watching porn, I had a dark perception of everything. Everything was dark to me. I didn't enjoy the sun, the clouds, the brightness, the sunshine, the reflection, the animals, nature, trees, the birds. It's things that I never would have, that sounds so stupid and irrelevant, but these things are what give you joy, because that's God's creation right there. And yet we brush it aside because we have too many problems and too many things to worry about which don't even matter. We can't even humble ourselves to go and meditate in nature and spend time in nature and do that without getting any external validation from that, without getting the approval of somebody else, without looking good on camera, on social media, looking good with friends. We don't only do things for external validation. That is not the way to live, because external validation doesn't get you anywhere. It's instant gratification. Because even though in society, going to that party, getting that girl, having a nice smoke break after is considered living it up. That is considered making it in today's day. And yet it's hell afterwards. Hitting this dopamine spike the rest of your life is terrible. There's one simple concept that we need to understand, and that's that anything of the devil feels great in the moment, but makes you less happier over time. So it causes this dopamine spike. Once you stop doing that activity, it goes down even further than what it was before. Let's say it was like this and you go up. Well, now at the end of that session, whatever you do, it goes even further down. Anything of God, though, anything of God may not feel good in the moment. It might even be painful or very unpleasant, but it makes you happier over time. And anything of God, I'm not just talking about praying or reading scripture or Christianity, religion, take communion. I'm not talking about these things. Those are nice and great and awesome, but what I'm specifically talking about is doing and living the life that God intended for us. And that could be a million different things. Working out, going to the gym and lifting weights and pushing ourselves, that is exercising discipline and consistency. That is a very godly thing. We hit that workout. It's unpleasant. So we go down in our happiness and our baseline contentment with life. But then afterwards, it goes back up and it goes even up higher than what it was before. So your baseline goes from here to here. And then you meditate. Well, it's kind of boring and you can't really focus very well. It's kind of frustrating. But then after the session, go back even higher up, because now you're not mind wandering as much and now you're more present in the moment, enjoying life. So there's stages to this, and that is the main concept that we need to understand, is that anything of the devil feels good in the moment, bring us down further every single time. Anything of God may not be very pleasant, but it might even be boring. It might not be fun. It might not be sexy, but it makes the baseline happiness go higher every single time. What I described to you is instant gratification versus delayed gratification. God advocates and is the embodiment of delayed gratification. And the devil is the embodiment of instant gratification and pleasure and distraction and what you want right now, but really not what's good for you in the long term and what will ruin your life. He's very good at pushing that, because that is a sexy thing. That is a cool thing. That is a fun thing, but ruins your life in the long term. It makes you more depressed, more anxious, more corrupted, more dark, just everything. Telling the truth may cause you to be punished, or you'll just not seem as cool for telling the truth because, you're not as cool as you think you are. But you'll feel more authentic and more energetic too, because telling a lie takes a lot of spiritual energy and it puts a lot of weight in the universe, because now you have to uphold that lie until the end of time. But if you're authentic and you tell the truth, you'll feel a lot more better in the long term. Watching TikTok. It may not be a sin to watch TikTok. It isn't in the Bible, but it's instant gratification. And indulging in instant gratification, indulging in that brings more intrusive, distracting thoughts throughout your life, which is of the devil. So TikTok is a stronghold used by the devil, because if you can get more distracting, intrusive thoughts, that's more of an open door for the demons to affect your life. This is something you've probably never thought about before, but it all adds up in the spiritual realm. Everything we knew about self-improvement in the physical and in the mental, it's in the spiritual too. The scary thing about this is that sin and instant gratification spiritually makes your world get darker every single time. Because from a spiritual perspective, every time you give into instant gratification or corruption, or aka sin, you feel like your world physically gets more darker. You can't enjoy the things of life anymore, the simple things, the deep things. I remember being in that place in my life and I felt so stuck in darkness. It's like almost like darkness, like personified. I don't even know how to explain it, but everything just felt darker. Everything I did felt darker and more meaningless, like almost physically, like visually darker in a way. It's weird. Yet I would go and do those instant gratification activities to avoid the life that I didn't like, the life I was living that was miserable. But those same instant gratification activities were what was keeping me in the darkness in the first place. This also explains why monks are always so happy and joyful, because yes, mentally they are very present and very focused, and there's the mental aspect that they've been working on for years and years of their life, and it's been compounded and improved for a lifetime. But along with that, spiritually, they live a much more vibrant life because of the life they chose. So it's a lot more easier for them to be more positive and mindful, and to not give into darkness, and to appreciate the small things and be grateful and be stoic, because they just haven't been around so much negativity. So in these early stages, you really have to decide what you want out of this life. And if you have to actively force yourself to replace those habits like porn, video games, scrolling on TikTok, with habits that improve your life, like reading a book, journaling, meditation, prayer, whatever it is, podcasts, going to church, which is usually a pretty godly place, forcing positive thoughts, having gratitude for people, you might have to force those things, but over time it will definitely cause a change in your mind and in your spirit. Once you do them as often as you can, your world will start to get a whole lot brighter. Once you start seeing this for everything you do in your life, it starts to make a whole lot more sense. At the end of the day, you think you're getting your fun and your pleasure in before you die forever, but you aren't truly happy at all when you do those things. Even afterwards, it makes your life even worse than what it was. You aren't content with your life, you aren't happy with what you've done, and you will still die. So people are like, oh, I'm gonna get my pleasure in, I'm gonna have fun because we're all gonna die someday, here for a good time, not a long time. Like shut up. You're gonna die, and you're gonna be on your deathbed, and you're gonna be in the afterlife. You're gonna be very discontent with your life and what you've done and what you've achieved and everything you've done for other people. All the pleasure and fun you had ended up amounting to nothing. So shut up with that psychology. Oh, well, I get my pleasure in, I can jack off every single day. Who cares, right? It feels good, and enjoy life, right, guys? Like, shut up. These people are so brain dead. They can't think 5 years in the future, let alone what happens after you die or when you die. You're gonna be miserable. It's no wonder why, like, the devil has a stronghold over a lot of people's lives. That's all I'm gonna say. And I know not everyone who watches these videos is spiritual or even believes in God. But the truth is, if you're living that life, you will go to a place where there isn't God. And maybe that is granting your wish in a way. You don't want God? Sure thing, bro. That's all you. You made your choice. But at least make your choice. Don't distract yourself with pleasure and stupid scrolling, doom scrolling. Face this and decide for yourself. Do you want God and spirituality? Do you want this spiritual life or no? Decide, because I'll respect you. You have my respect. If you decide, nope, I don't want God. Okay, I just want to keep living and partying and getting powerful and status and looking cool. And if you want that, then go ahead, but make your choice, because you don't get half and half. You only get one or the other. And that place that you go to, it's not going to be a party. Hell is not going to be a party, bro. It's a very hard concept to grasp, but I wish somebody told me this when I was younger, because even though I probably would have thought that person was weird and I wouldn't have taken them seriously, it still would have at least planted a seed in my mind and in my soul. Like, okay, these things I do, yes, I feel in control, and yes, I feel powerful and like free, and yeah, these things feel really nice. I'm not gonna lie, they feel really nice, but it's not really good for me, and it's making my life worse. Never mind spiritually, but mentally, it's not doing anything good for my life. But serving God, the one who wants you to live this more spiritual, fulfilling, and warm, innocent, loving life, he wants that for you. But it's not going to be easy. It's going to be the route of delayed gratification. Ironically, serving God actually gives you more freedom. A lot of people don't think that way, but it's true. I was in way more bondage and addiction when I wasn't serving God. The more I get closer to God and focus on God, I don't have addictions anymore. I used to be addicted to porn. Porn fucking ruined my life, and yet now I don't have that addiction. Now I don't. And self-improvement will take you a long way, don't get me wrong. Self-improvement alone, because that's living God's will for your life, self-improvement will take you a long way. God, in the presence of God, I don't have an eating disorder anymore. I'm not depressed. I don't get anxious thoughts, and when I do, I just get closer to God, and the problem goes away. The devil's way does feel nicer. It feels like you're more in control and you have more power, but it will lead you to hell, not just after, but on earth as well. And why are we as a society supporting the devil so much? I want to know this. Why do we have these demonic concerts cosplaying as Satan, these celebrities cosplaying as Satan? Why are we selling children clothing lines that say Satan loves you or Satan loves pronouns? He does not love you, bro. What did this creature do to make so many people love him so much? This is the same creature who caused you to have poor mental health. This is the same creature that caused you to be in crippling depression, anxiety, that gave you insomnia, and it gave you that eating disorder and that addiction. So why would you support this guy? F this guy, bro. Why are we giving him the praise that God deserves? But chasing after God and his attributes are what gave me life. I even feel like I can breathe better. I'm serious. This is not even a joke. I feel like I can breathe better now that I have God than before. Yeah, maybe I'm just healthier living this way. Maybe I've made better like health decisions over time, but I genuinely just feel more alive. I don't feel like I'm just an NPC walking around. I don't feel that way anymore. I genuinely feel like spiritually I have a weight that's lifted off my back now. More vibrant. I feel more alive as a result, because it's a natural way of living. It is the way God intended for us to live all along. And yet people would rather give into degeneracy and listen to rap music and music that poisons their mind. Subliminally, it destroys your mind. Even rappers say so. There's interviews of rappers exposing the music industry. I haven't watched porn in 2 years, by the way. That is such a foreign concept to so many people. There will literally be people who don't even believe me when I say that. And yet, my mind has been almost completely purified. And I've gotten closer to God as a result, and I feel amazing. It just makes me wonder, what will I be like in 10 years? What will my life be like in 10 years? How much more vibrant would everything be? How much more spiritual would I feel? Because it quite literally is a slider. How life is in heaven, then there's life in hell. Of course, both extremes are like incomprehensible to us. You get to choose which way and what part of the slider you want to live your life on. And you're not going to be able to get this close to heaven for a long period of time throughout your life without self-improvement, without getting close to God, putting everything into your relationship with God and serving him. That is the best way to ensure that you're going to get closer to heaven on this slider. But if you want to watch porn and distract yourself and ruin your attention span through TikTok and YouTube shorts and reels, and if you want to become degenerate and like take drugs and become addicted to substance, your life is going to start coming down this way, further towards hell. I feel like a superhuman compared to how my life was before. And that contrast is so amazing because so many people grow up in church or grow up with God in the household and they don't experience the contrast between evil and good, Satanism versus God and heaven. Your life ends up on a better trajectory when you make that choice. You want to humble yourself. You don't know everything. You'll never be good enough for heaven. But yet God gave us a second chance through Jesus Christ on the cross. And we can still choose to make a more spiritual life out of ourselves, to live a more godly life and to follow the example of Jesus Christ. That is the goal. I love you all, and I will see you all in the next one.